Evening all. Another day in paradise. So this is the first of this is an introduction to a bench build series. I sold a bench to somebody on eBay. There was a couple of other people interested, and after it sold, one of the guys said, "You build me one." I went, "Yeah, all right then. What do you need?" So we've been through some. The first thing I like to do is to talk to the client and find out what their requirements are. This guy has got a shed, quite a big shed, and the bench is going to go in the corner. So we're looking about 5 or 6 foot. The next thing I find out is how tall the client is. Workbench height is a series of videos in itself. I'm 5'10", so my benches that I make for myself are 34 inches high, 86 centimetres, I think. The best way to tell, in my experience, is to put your hands in your pockets. Pretend you're wearing a watch. Put your hands in your pockets and just measure how high your watch is off the ground. So mine always tend to be about there. You can see that. I've built many workbenches now. It's got to be getting up to 30 nearly. This might be the 30th. I just love it. There's an argument to say people who are new to woodworking should make their own benches. It's a big deal and it's an important tool. I'm biased. The fact that, yeah, I love making benches for people. There's something very meta about it, especially all the materials are made are reclaimed. So bringing material back to life to make new things, it's just fantastic. I started myself. I made a bench for down here in the winter. I used Rex Kruger's quick stack workbench, which is a brilliant bench. It's fantastic design. I've used it and altered it many times now, but it's a classic design now, I think. And then I made one in the summer. I moved down to the garage, so I made one down there. I made a rouleau out of oak. Then in the middle of summer, I spent a lot of time on the allotment in the shed there, so I made a bench for the shed. And then in the winter, I came back down here, and then just kind of went through that process. So I set myself an apprenticeship, self-imposed apprenticeship, to make one of every style of workbench that I could find. So I went through all the old woodworking, classic woodworking books. So I've done a Rouleau, Nicholson, quite a few of Rex Kruger's benches, a David Charlesworth in mahogany from old reclaimed doors, several of Paul Sellers benches. And so I've kind of got to know how similar problems are solved by different people. So you get kind of like a toolkit of design plans, design ideas, or solutions to certain requirements. So somebody asks you for a bench, you find out what they want it for, where it's going, most importantly, who they are, what they're going to use it for, and then you build a picture, and then you can start making sketches and making proposals to people, and then you settle on a design. Most people accept your experience and your knowledge, and away you can go. So for this particular bench then, inspired by a bench in Aldrin Watson's book on hand tools, page 18 and 19. In the old books, the benches are always in earlier in the book because it's the first tool you need, really. So what I did is, I rarely do I rarely follow plans and I rarely write plans now because I've done it so many times. Anyway, so this is what we're shooting for. The other thing I'll say is I rarely buy timber to make benches. I get reclaimed timber. Once you become a woodworker and people get to know you, what you do, they offer you stuff. Bits of old furniture, tables, chairs, you name it. I've got to know a few builders now. What do they call them? Skip diver, skip rat, depending, dumpster diver, depending what part of the world you're on. Building sites are good as well. So if a lot of places in England are now having, and Wales and around the world, I should imagine, a big housing boom, construction of new houses, and the construction trade is notoriously wasteful. So if you go in there politely with a hard hat and a high vis jacket and just find your way to the site office, find the site manager and just politely ask. You may have to be a bit creative with what you're going to use it for. But yeah, generally it's going for recycling, and which is very good these days. And they don't mind generally if you're not too greedy, if you're polite, respectful. They can only say no. Have a punt, you never know. With skips, I'll always knock the door. The last thing you want to do is be nicking something out of the skip and then the owner comes out. What are you playing at? So I'll always knock the door and ask. If nobody answers, I'll go back. And just hoping that nobody else has beat me to it and nicked the timber. It's often not the best quality wood. The construction lumber is quite good. The stuff out of skips can have nails in it, screws in it, be a bit old. Anything that's rotten or woodworm, I won't touch it. So now here's the design. The graphic quality of the graphic designer is stunning. So it's an extremely clever bench. It looks bloody awful, but it's once you understand the physics and engineering behind benches, these sheer walls are fantastic. So we got a leg in each corner, a panel along the trestle ends, and then a piece of wood along the top. Repeat for the other end. And so it's kind of based on a lot of the English designs, which have a very long, deep front board, glued and screwed on all the way. So there's very, very little joinery, hardly any. But you end up with an extremely stout, solid bench. So there we go. That's what we're shooting for. So the client's happy with it. I'm happy with it. I ain't got much choice because that's the materials I've got, and I'll go through the materials now. So I always keep an eye out on Marketplace for free tables. I do pay. My upper limit is 50 quid, and the other day I scored that Pembroke table for 50 quid. That's kind of my upper limit now. Beautiful wood sapele. But a lot of people aren't quite sure what the wood is. They'll call it oak when it's mahogany. They'll call it pine when it's oak. So there's a lot of bargains out there. And a lot of people are very grateful, especially giving them away free, because there's this kind of folk respect for craftsmanship still, which is touching. The actual material itself is generally excellent quality, especially it's furniture grade timber you're getting. So, and a lot of people are just happy for it to be reused. So I picked up a farmhouse table. 6 foot by 3 foot is the general size for big dining tables around here. And the ends were oval, so my personal perfect table would be a rectangular, because you can get regular lengths out of it when you rip it down. But this is a big, thick, 1 5/8 thick It's quite modern, so it's composite. It's laminated, so it's already been stabilised. It's been in a nice dry environment. It's perfect timber for making stuff. They've got rid of all the imperfections and the knots. It just needs planing down, and away you go. So we're going to have, these are the height's 32 and 3/8 of the legs. Then we've got a beech slab. I picked up another score from the back of the college. There was an old pastry table that came out of the college kitchen, teaching kitchens. It had a huge steel base with drawers under it, but it was just turned upside down in the car park next to the skip, and they were going to chuck it. So luckily I've saved that, and I managed to get that home eventually. So I've used half of it, but I've ripped it down the centre, 6 foot by 3 foot wide again, 1 5/8 thick. So half of that's going to be the slab for the top of the bench. So I'm just gonna plane off the old paint. A lot of people, shabby chic's very popular at the moment. So a lot of people might get an old table, paint it themselves. This has had some silk matte paint on it. That planes off easy, and then you got lovely wood underneath. A lot of it's furniture grade. It's fantastic. So those will get glued together, cut to the final length, glued together, left to dry, cleaned off first, and then we've got 4 stout legs to play with. So I ripped this down into sections 4" wide. It's 100 mil. There's a nice tape measure. So yeah, 100 mil by 40 mil. Kitchen worktop's good as well. It's very trendy at the moment. A lot of people are going for granite stone worktops. 10-15 years ago, solid wood worktops were quite popular. So there's a lot of them coming out now. People just sick of oiling them. They've gone a bit tatty, a bit worn, and they're having a replacement. So I was driving down the road one day a couple of years ago, and these kitchen fitters were just chucking out walnut, laminated composite in sticks, in sections. But a beautiful 3 foot wide, 8-10 foot long kitchen worktop, and they were just going to chuck it, saw it up and chuck it. So I just slammed on the brakes, and I have that. Yeah, take it away, it saves us money. So you just got to be alert, keep your eyes out. So we'll have 4 of them. So as I said, one of my neighbours gifted me a Welsh dresser. So she knew I built workbenches. She said, I want that in a workbench. I said, fair enough. So it was huge, and it had been oiled in the past. It had been in a conservatory, so there's signs of it being rotten at the bottom, but not the rest of it was in fine condition. So we'd had 2 big drawers. These are the fronts of the drawers, so I just dismantled it. These are machine made dovetails. But that's 26 inch, I think. What we got? 25.5 inch. So the bench is going to be, the top's going to be 6 foot by 2 foot, 34 inches high. The undercarriage, there'll be a bit of overhang for the Vise, which I'll come on to. And then, so these are going to be the side panels for the trestles. And They end up getting quite cute, and I put a nice smile in the middle of there, the eyes. With a lot of reclaimed timber, you have to see through it, the muck on the front. That scrapes off. Sanding, oil, stunning. It's furniture wood, so don't get too hung up about what it looks like. So I got 2 of those. So that's the trestle, the bottom of the trestle panels. The top of the trestles, door frames. There's a big move now for homeowners to fit UPVC windows and doors. You don't see many wooden doors anymore. Everything new is going in is plastic. Everything that's coming out is wood, and there is some stunning pieces of wood that are coming out. It breaks my heart. So I got talking to, every time I see somebody having windows and doors fitted, I talk to the fitters, and a couple of them I've been up to their yards, and they've got skip after skip after skip full of just sawn up mahogany, sapele, oak. I mean, this is rainforest wood, so this is a serious ethical problem that I think we can, by reusing the timber, reducing landfill. Much of it will probably go for pulping, which go back into production. But it's beautiful rainforest wood, African, Central American, Amazon probably, that was really popular in the builds in the 60s and the 70s. And it's criminal that it's been chucked out. So the other thing is, you get a lot of pine, Douglas fir, whatever, and it's old growth wood. So the modern construction lumber, the plants are grown in with the right space between them, the lights, the conditions. So it's all been scientifically researched and found what's the optimum. So they grow really well, really fast. So the rings are really far apart. The good thing about the old growth timber is they were all by nature, in nature, just growing cheek by jowl. So they struggled, so they grew very slowly, and you just get lovely rings. You get lovely, no problem at all. The knots, okay, you get big knots occasionally, but you just have to be a bit selective when you're cutting your pieces. Just avoid them. So this is going to be the top of the trestle. It looks hideous. I know. It's got paint on it and holes in it, but it's going to be on a bench, which is a tool. It's not a piece of furniture. It's a tool. It's functional. It needs to work. The physics, the engineering behind it needs to work. And if it looks pretty, that's a bonus. But at the end of the day, it's going to get dinged. It's going to get hammered, chiseled, planed, stained. There you go. And then a few years' time, you can build yourself another one. They ain't garage queens. They're tools put to work. So yeah, lovely. Quite often you get lovely old growth. And I've made some beautiful benches out of some joists that came out of a Victorian refurb around the corner. There you go. That's the top of the trestles. The stretchers. So again, this is from the old Welsh dresser from Auntie Linda. It's just shy of 3/4 of an inch, probably 18mm board, but again extremely stable. It hasn't been outside, it's been in a domestic environment. It might have a bit of got on it, candle wax, stains, paint. Don't matter, that will scrape off, not playing off. The other trick about working out or finding out where the bench is going to sit, but the location of it, it's if it's going to be in the centre of a workshop, it's going to be seen from all 4 sides. So there ain't many places you can hide the nasty bits. But with benches that are against walls or corners, a bit of tip from the trade, uh, put all the nasty stuff that you don't really want people to see on the side that will never be seen. So you can look at your material, pick the best, and that'll the show faces, the sides that will be seen, and the less quality stuff you can hide around the back or the sides or whatever. So those are going to be the boards, the stretcher boards. So what are these? These are 52 inch, 1.32 meters. I mean, this groove was probably for plates, so you could rest your plates and so they wouldn't fall out. But that can be hidden, and you'll see the underneath with the shelf. So these were the shelves from the top of the dresser. So that's been exposed. Candles, food, teas, coffees, whatever. But the underneath, that'll be my show side. So that'll be lovely. Nearly there. So in terms of work holding, there's two main vice options. You can go for your iron steel vices or a leg vice, which has a wooden chop. Down here, I've got a record 53. So the record vices, traditionally start with a 52, which is a record 52, which is 7 inches wide. Then the 52.5, which is the most popular one for woodworkers historically. I've got one here. There's one I made earlier. 9 inch wide with a longer opening. Then you get a record 53, which is the big daddy. So 10 inch, 10.5 inch on a 53. So these do come up occasionally. I bought a job lot of 15 of them a few years ago, and say about 10 of them were usable. So the rest was for spares and repairs. So out of that, I renovated 10 vices and sold them all on eBay. The Yanks love them. I'll be mad for them. Anyway, where was I? Oh yes. So I use down here. I use a bench vice, woodworking vice. But down in the garage, I'll take you down the garage on Friday, I think. There's leg vices. I love leg vices. They're not much more fuss to use. They're very flexible, and if you're making workbenches, they're very big and very strong. Again, being in the Midlands, there's a lot of industrial heritage, so they do come up. Keep an eye. I've got a search on eBay for vice screws. So a lot of people have them sitting around in their shed or the cellars, and they buy a new house and it's full of junk. So they do come up occasionally. I've got a beautiful one down in the garage, but they do come up. So keep an eye out. I'll probably be bidding against you, but you never mind. So that's 18-inch screw. What you tend to find is that they develop a patina after a while, so they don't end up like a big stick of rust. Generally, they've been oiled, they've been used, so they've got surface coating on them, which comes off dead easy on a wire wheel, on a grinder. But a lot of the time it's quite nice to keep it, just a bit of oil. If it's rusty, then you got to get rid of the rust. Rust never sleeps. It'll keep spreading. But yeah, this came off. I bought this from a local guy from a village just outside town, and his granddad used to make tram the bodywork for the trams. So this was from his workshop, the factory that he works in, the local, well, I won't say factory, the local workshop where they did all of the bodywork in wood for the trams. And he was very sentimental about it. That's the other thing about picking up tables and furniture or old Vises and that. You might hear a lot of people say, oh, I used to play under that as a kid. Oh, I remember me granny's wedding. So you have to be respectful. You can't just rock up and say, oh, great, I'm going to get home and saw that up. You have to be quite, put yourself in their position. A lot of these old pieces of furniture do have sentimental value to people. So I've always got a stock. Oh yeah, my son's moved out, or my daughter's moved out, and we get in the room back, and the bloody kids, they're good boomerang kids, they'll be back soon. So if it's a nice pair, you kind of judge the situation. If they don't give a shit and they've just left it out the front for you, then you can take it and not have to think about it too much. But yeah, if it's especially elderly people, quite often you find a partner's passed away, and a mum or parent or an auntie or uncle's passed away, and they don't like the old furniture or they ain't got room for it. So you say, I'm going to give it a good home, love. It's going to go to a good home. We're going to look after it. We'll do it up. And then get it home and saw it up. Yeah, so the vise I'm going to use on this bench is a little Record 55. It's 6.5 inch wide. This was mucky, rusty, 20 quid. It was up for 25. That's the other thing about Marketplace. Just ask them if they're open to offers. And be polite, because a lot of people on Marketplace are thugs. Can I have it? I'll give you 50. But if you're polite, it's karma. It'll come, what goes around comes around. So if you're polite to people, respectful. So I managed to get this for 20 quid. It was a bit mucky, but it's not bent. It ain't been dropped, nothing cracked. It's 100% good condition. Lovely little vise. With a couple of face plates, chops in it, we can make it a bit wider and all, some hardware chops. And it works a dream. Been on the wire, took it apart, strip it, on the wire wheel, clean it up, oil it, put it back together. And it's good for another 100 years of work. Easily. Right then, now kids, I think that's it for now then. So join us in the next episode. I'll make a trestle. I'll show you. It's going to be quick. It'll be done within a few days, this will. I've got next week off, so I don't think I've got any more DIY to do. So we'll crack on with this, and then I've got to think about how to get it up there. Anyway, more about that later. So like and subscribe if you want more content, and Oh, me gag. What's the gag of the week? What should we go for? I used to teach origami, but it was terrible. Terrible. Paperwork was terrible. I had to give it up. So, half an hour.